Clients. Thank you very much. When you come to live you can say direct live signal, obviously. You can say, I want to see audio. Sorry. వీడియో వస్తుంది వాడు వస్తుంది చాలా స్ట్రక్చర్ వస్తున్నాడు మన ఆడియో వస్తుంది చాలా అసలు ఆడియో వచ్చింది
Conclusion, these become even more important, and therefore, while on one hand we have high-tech tools, human touch cannot go. And then the finesse with which combines these two is the hallmark of our leadership, and that's the key challenge of the leadership. I would like to acknowledge the two organizations that have been involved in curating this program, the Street Course and Young Talent Council of National HR Network. Fantastic job done by both of you, the teams, all the individuals who have been informed. Great job done. My compliments to everyone who had joined. I acknowledge a lot of senior
human interactions.
Absolutely. I think this is one of the most promising applications of AI in terms of leadership development or coaching. So you can think of it like a 24/7 available sparring partner, which is ready to be readily available, that helps leaders or HR individuals pressure test their approaches to difficult conversations without having any fear of judgment or real world consequences. So it's like a particular valuable for scenarios that require careful navigation, such as performance feedback or sensitive org changes. However, while having said this, you must also acknowledge the limitations which AI has currently. AI can help you with the conversation flow, potential responses, but can it actually replicate the complex emotional dynamics or non-verbal cues that might be crucial in these human interactions? Maybe not at this point in time. We don't know how it might evolve, but at this point, it does not. It will give you a very specific agentic response, which might not be applicable for case-to-case basis, organizational context, or the relationships that are needed to bring into context in the situations. So I see AI in this scenario as a complementary tool. It's excellent for preparing, practicing, but is it an actual replacement for humans where we need emotional intelligence or wisdom, real world experience? Maybe not. So the sweet spot is that we can use it to initially do our preparations, but post that, I think human intervention will still be needed as we progress along.
Sure, definitely. I think very wise words where you said that, like practice and prepare, but definitely layer in the context you're aware of, the nuances, like you said, the history of relationships, etc. So, human judgment there plays a very important role in how do you approach some of these conversations. And I think, yeah, in the spirit of this discussion, that nuance is very important to keep in mind. Shashwat, moving on to you with a similar nuance in the space of performance management. So we all know different organizations have different structures for performance management and conversations around performance check-ins, quarterly, yearly, whatever. And many of them have had very low uptakes over the years. But with the presence of AI now, it's easier for managers to literally pull out snapshots, all data you have for your team's performance, get a sense of how what has everybody delivered against the impact they were supposed to, goals, etc. Frame feedback, and like we discussed with Devan, even deliver it. But has it become too mechanized? And therefore, if it has, or disagree if it hasn't, what is the role that a manager brings in into this performance management cycle now, which they need to be even more careful of? And how do you see this shift as an expert in this area?
Sure. So, Shivani, I think this is a tricky one, right? Uh, so, first that we should acknowledge that we have to use AI, being mindful of what all it can deliver to us. And I think, rightly, as Debian mentioned, right, it has to be taken as an accumulator of all the information. We get a view to it, but that does not totally tell us what should or should not be done. Now, while for a continuous feedback or giving any time feedback, I think AI is a lever for nudging the managers is something which is good. Now, but with this entire AI thing coming into the picture, I think there is a gradual shift which is happening. Move from an output driven culture to a value creation culture. Right. So in the erstwhile model, what was performance management? Oh, this is the task, this is what I have to achieve, and this is what I have done. So you should be very happy about me. The manager would used to have that kind of a language. Right now. So I'll interestingly share a conversation which I was having with one of the managers some time back. So that manager came back saying, boss, I was having a discussion with my employee. He's a salesperson. He has achieved tremendous targets and all the matrices are green, and he's one of my star performers, right? But at the same time, I don't see him fitting well with the culture of the organization. He's not very collaborative. He's not grooming the team members, right? So I think these are the areas where we have to say that while AI is giving us a lot of insights, pulling information from n number of places, and preparing us well for those conversations, there are a lot of software aspects to it, which could be around building culture, grooming young ones, and everything. That's where the manager play a very important role in the current scheme of things. Possibly 5 years down the line, we'll have a smarter solution to it, and then we'll have a different nature of conversation. But right now, I think in the scheme of things, while AI is enabling us with a lot of details, I think the managers still hold a very important position because they know the context, they know the individual. There is no one size fits all approach which will work in all the cases, right? So I think that's where the importance comes in.
I think that's a very useful, very relatable example that you pulled in, that where you could have all the data, but there's also intuition around what you're observing in team dynamics, stakeholder relations, which becomes critical because work is not just tasks. It's not a job in isolation. It's always in a large team. It's always within a context. And that's something all of us need to continue to be mindful of. And that continues to be the edge for the managerial role as well. So thanks, Shashwat, for really grounding it in what you're seeing. That makes it very real and that helps. Um, I want to now take this conversation, towards a point where we want to understand how are organizations building guardrails to let the workforce evolve through this change. Because Sindhura, Shashwat, Debayan, as you said, it's very nuanced. You're seeing these changes in everyday roles that managers, leaders, organizations who are making a shift towards AI are seeing. So it's very nuanced and it continues to evolve. But give us a sense of what are some principles or guardrails that are being kept in mind so that adoption is safe and responsible. Sindhura, if you would want to come in first on what are some of these principles and values you're seeing organizations keep in mind, even yours and others you work with, as they make this shift.
All right. Hello, I'm audible, right? Okay, got it. So again, just to emphasize, right, I'm speaking more from the regulation standpoint, from the regulated industry standpoint, right? So the guardrails that would be, really mandated for to implement any use cases within the regulated industry, as already mentioned, human in the loop by design is something that is very crucial, where AI is it, there has to be like a clear definition where AI is an advisor versus where human retains the final decision, right? So that one of the guardrails is a mandated thing is human in the loop by design. The second is the explainability standards or the interpretability standards, right? Where any AI system that we are using must provide like the reasons or a transparent logic so people can interrogate why the system recommends something, right? It's like basically if a decision is being made by AI, or if it is giving certain output for a prediction or something, it is there has to be a logic why AI is showing the way it is showing, why the output is the way it is. So those are the explainability standards that has to be maintained. And also certain decision thresholds and escalation paths, right? Because AI is vast. If there is any output, basically, which if it falls outside certain levels or certain ethical guidelines, so employees or the users must know where exactly to step in or to pause or to escalate that. So having those thresholds defined is also something that is very necessary. Again, this is predominantly from the regulated industry standpoint.
Sure, absolutely. Very meaningful and very nicely encapsulated. Thanks. Devan, if you want to come in next.
Yep, sure. So I think Sindhuja touched up on it as well. One point which I want to talk about. I think there are 3 points to it. The first is security, the second is ownership, and the third is high judgment decision. Security, in the sense, especially from an HR perspective, is there are a lot of data which is restricted in nature. And while we are enabling employees to use AI, we should also ensure that it uses it ethically. Not use confidential data in a public forum, not use them for analysis. So how do we ensure there are enough practices? We have security trainings, we have got confidential clauses which they need to sign, NDA agreements. That's one aspect which I feel is the first stepping stone before even using AI as a whole. Second one comes in where it's more about who owns the problem statement, right? So let's do it as a problem in the business. Someone who is a business analyst versus a program engineer versus a scientist might say that, hey, this is not my job to do. But enabling AI, using the right prompt engineering, asking the right questions to AI to come to a conclusion, and then evaluating that conclusion that, hey, this is how the AI workflow is, this is what we have evaluated, and this is the final outcome. That is, I think, another aspect of AI which needs to come into play. So today, let's say if I'm a software engineer, but let's say I have to analyze something, I can't say that, hey, there's an analyst job. I have the data set with me, I have the AI tool with me, I can use it to analyze myself and get the report. So it's more about how I'm willing to own up and what's the flow I've gone through. And I think the final one is high judgment decision. At the end of the day, it's us, the individual, whom the respective leaders will reach out to for an output. So we have to own it. Whether we have used AI, not used AI, that's an ancillary question. It's about how well you're presenting, what you're presenting, and whatever you're presenting, you've owned it up. It's expected that you have done the due diligence and audit before coming to the platform and sharing it. So I think keeping these three top aspects in mind, one can use AI judiciary.
Thank you so much. That's so specific, and like you, I love the piece on ownership that you bring in. That where does the buck really stop, and how do we continue to keep that central? Thanks a lot, Shashwat. How about you?
Yeah, I think esteemed panelists have covered most of the points, right? So I'll just possibly touch upon a few more, which I feel. So I think AI literacy is something which is very important. So as Devan also mentioned, right, that while we'll implement everything, people need to be aware of what AI is. See, because there's a lot of hype around AI. And it is not only about AI, right? It's in the technology space. Few years back, it was blockchain. Before that, it was Internet of Things, right? So every couple of years, we find new ways to keep ourselves engaged. So the most important thing is that while everyone wants to be on that bus to implement AI at a very fast rate, the employees should be aware of what is happening and how they are equipped to manage this situation. So I think that piece is very important. What could additionally help here is giving those kind of use cases to the individuals. See, AI is as good as the input that it's get, right? Within an organizational context. So expecting that input is X, Y, Z and the output will talk about everything from A to Z may not be right. So giving that kind of a sense, giving use cases that while this is the output, you should also think about these scenarios, right? I think that is something which gets important. And foremost thing, and possibly the most important one, what is the culture that we have in the organization? If we are promoting people to use AI, they should not be ashamed of using AI for, let's say, putting together a deck or something, right? We should probably call it out. So in one of our previous discussions, I was with our global CHRO. She said, "Yeah, I have created this deck only in 15 minutes. AI helped me." So that talks a lot about the culture, right? If the CHRO herself is saying that, it gives us that confidence. Yeah, there's nothing wrong in using AI. It is helping us out. So I think these are some of the things that really helps the individuals within an organization landscape to use AI with more confidence.
Yeah, it's a great call out to say that the layer of AI literacy and then how does a culture, an organizational culture, encourage you to build on it very openly. It's not something you do in the shadow, so you don't have mixed messaging. That's crucial. I want to bring in an audience question that has got asked. Been asked in different ways. So I'll just capture it, which is to say that our audience today, broadly students, either have just entered the workforce, internships, etc., or gonna enter it soon. Now, with the changes that you're seeing, and I know that as professionals, all of us are also learning in the middle of our careers, right? What would be some guidance that you would want to leave our audiences today with, that as they prep for a career in whichever functions and spaces and companies they enter in terms of balancing how they learn to use AI and what human skills should they continue to build as well? What would be your guidance around how do they look at learning as they now enter the workforce? Sindhura, if you'd want to come in first.
Um, See, because for AI, right, like in there, as much as there is pre-learning, it is also something that you have to learn on the go, because it is continuously emerging and all of that, right? So in my opinion, one thing is, a lot of them would have that a fear, because even before I have started working on AI, I have come from a biotechnology background, and I have no experience in this. So there's always this fear whether we'd be able to understand what AI is, or is it purely for a data scientist, or someone who's technically very sound. But I would first recommend the students, or whoever is going to start, to get over that fear. You don't have to be like a data scientist, or a big developer, but you should understand what AI is, what AI can and cannot do. So this is something that everybody has to start with. And secondly, learning the basics of how AI works, like at least staying abreast with the regulations, especially from a regulated standpoint, or understanding the basic nuances or different types of AI, what the responsible AI attributes are, keeping yourself equipped with basics of how AI
The
works, with the
responsible AI.
patterns or the probabilities of it. So these are something that are very essential. And yes, as and when there are new tools that keep emerging, like just stay curious, stay
So
updated on
these are something
understanding
that
what
are
they are. And again, because it's not like like this is like some theoretical knowledge that you have to do a lot of pre-learning, or just do a certification and you're done. It's not like that. It's mostly it's the hands-on knowledge
knowledge
that
that
you
you
need
have.
to learn. But before you get on to that, it's really crucial to understand basics of how AI works.
Awesome.
Before you get on to.
Absolutely. 10% to that. Debayan?
Yeah, I think Sindhya covered very beautifully of what I also wanted to cover. Just adding on to that, I think it's okay to be where we are right now.
Beautifully of
A
what
lot
I.
of the students or the interns who are joining, just to let them know, a lot of our senior executives as well as other individuals in the organization are the same path where you are. It's a new learning for all of us. We're all new to this. So in case you see a business problem or a problem statement where you feel based on your own application of AI in your personal life or work, you feel this helps, just go for it. I would really recommend you to go for it. Don't shy back, don't shy away. Go to your manager, go to your leader and tell that, hey, you know what, I would problem statement. I have this idea. Can I go forward with it? I'm 100% sure that your leader would love to be looped in, stay connected, and it will be a good opportunity for you also to gain visibility, learn, and grow as usual. So, yeah, learn and be curious, keep getting in, being invested in AI, and I'm sure very soon you'll also create a lot of value for yourself.
Absolutely. Golden words there on being entrepreneurial and really taking a bet on yourself and your ideas. Thanks for sharing that. Absolutely. Golden words there on this question from you.
Yeah. Okay. So I think a couple of things for the younger workforce, right, who are just getting into this corporate world. First, try to, so while AI is a very important or crucial element for us, right, we're investing a lot of time learning about it. Also focus on a lot of skills where AI has not been of great help right now, which could be around collaboration, right, empathy, or possibly to creativity. I know creativity cannot be learned to some extent, but just try to leverage those skills because that will give you an upper edge while you're getting into the organization. And don't be threatened by AI, right? AI is just a friend. So just to give an analogy more from a current student context, right? Imagine you have a best friend written by AI, takes all the notes for you. More from a current student, possibly going for movies during the same time. You're not there. He or she gives you a lot of these notes at the end of the day, but you are the one who has to give that exam, right? So AI is that kind of a friend for you, will help you with each and every data point. But at the end of the day, while you are responsible to give the output, the accountability will lie on you. So take AI only as a friend, take its guidance, but let it not be the decision maker for you. That's so.
Yep. No, thank you so much. Thanks to all of our panelists today and for your responses, which have been so grounded and have. No, thank you so much. Real perspective on how things are changing. For your responses, which have been. And I love the spirit that you brought in about being AI literate, being entrepreneurial, not feeling threatened, considering it as a co-pilot that you can use along and retaining your ownership and continuing to invest in human skills because I feel like there continues to be a gap in what we need to exercise in human skills and what our education system equips us with. So that's a gap to be fulfilled always. With that, we come to a close of this conversation in this discussion, but I hope we all continue this conversation as we go forth as well. So thank you so much, and over to you, Sahil.
Thank you, Shivani, for sharing that thought-provoking discussion. And a big thank you to Debian, Sindhura, and Shashwat for sharing your perspectives. Let's all give our panel two speakers a round of applause. Thank you. Now we've come to the final part of today's conference. First and foremost, on behalf of NHRD and YTC and Street Cause India, I want to extend a heartfelt gratitude to everyone who made Neural Shift 2025 a success. To our keynote speaker, Mr. Tarun Mehra, thank you for setting the tone with your visionary thoughts on AI and future of work. To our panel moderators, Gautam and Shivani, and to all our esteemed panelists, Mario, Gaurav, Swati, Debayan, Sindhura, and Shashwat. We are incredibly grateful for the time and wisdom you shared with us. Your insights have been truly enlightening. A big thank you to Mr. Prem Singh, Dr. Devanand, and Mr. Dhananjay for their continuous guidance and support. I also want to wish the organizing teams behind the scenes, Bhargavi, our lead of factory team from YTC, and all our dedicated members of NHR and YTC, and Street Cause India for working tirelessly to put this virtual conference together. Let's also give them a round of applause, even if we can't see them on the screen. And of course, to all the students and professionals in our audience today, thank you for your active participation and enthusiasm. You asked great questions and kept the chat buzzing, which made the event interactive and lively. We hope you're leaving with new ideas, inspiration, and a clearer vision for your own U-shaped careers. As we close, remember that the conversation doesn't end here. We encourage you to stay connected with us at NHRD and YTC and Street Cause through our LinkedIn and Instagram pages. Keep the discussions going on our social media and community forums. Your perspectives are what make events like this so meaningful. It's been a pleasure for me to be your host today. Thank you once again for joining us at Neural Shift 2025. We hope you enjoyed it as much as we did. Please give yourselves a round of applause for being such a great audience. Stay curious, keep learning, and continue to embrace both technology and creativity as you shape your futures. Have a wonderful day ahead, and goodbye from our side.
The recording has stopped.
Selling something in meter, like 500 वाला आम्ही रात्री बाहेर निघायचो. त्या दोन मेल मेल आयडी आम्ही